Welcome. I'm joined. This is the first Open to Connect podcast that's ever happened. So I'm really excited if anybody or as people are joining. I would love to introduce you today to Sarah Moody. She is the CEO and founder of Sarah Moody International. She has an amazing story that I can't wait to get into. Also, a podcaster and author of the Rock Your Brain, Rock Your Life brand here. So I would love to first just have you introduce yourself. And I should point out that how we met was through networking. I knew someone, she knew someone, we both knew the same person, and now here we are today. And that's one of those things that I love about networking and how people come into your life when you don't expect it, but then they're the people that change your life. So I would love to hear a little bit about your story and how you got started doing what you're doing.
Oh, Jacqueline and all of our audience, it's such a pleasure to be here on this afternoon. I'm here in sunny San Francisco, so hi from California. I've got my dog, Bob Marley, sitting at my feet, and I'm just so happy to spend the next little while together. Feel free to drop us any chats and just if you have any questions. And so, my journey as an entrepreneur and started about 21 years ago when I was laid off. I was laid off from a startup. And I thankfully, I went in, it was a Friday morning, it was 10 a.m. and my boss was like, listen, the company's about to close, you're getting laid off. And I'd never been laid off. I'd always worked for big tech like Oracle. And then I went to this startup and a year and I got laid off and I was petrified. I thought I was going to throw up. I mean, it was a rough morning. And what actually kind of got me through even just that weekend was I went away with one of my best friends and she reminded me that, Sarah, you actually have an incredible network of people who know. And I learned how to network from my dad. My dad is an incredible networker. He lives all over the world and he just knows people and he's just knows how to stay in touch with people. And so I learned this skill. To me, networking is a skill. I learned this skill, thankfully, at a young age. And so that really helped me kind of manage a lot of fear that January of 2001 when I got laid off. And, when I look back, we'll do a quick fast forward just so that if any of you are going through this right now, you'll hear my journey. It was one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life. And I literally mean that because now I work with the largest brands in tech. I help them drive revenue strategies, and I'm also an executive coach. And so I've been really fortunate to build an incredible company in the last, 24 years after getting laid off from a tech startup. Friday afternoon at 10 a.m.
I love that so much, especially for those that don't know, I was recently within the last, we're at the month to the day. Exactly 1 month ago today, I was laid off from my role in big tech. So dealing with all of the fallout from that mental fallout, right? Of this actually happened at the grief stages. And I'm with you right there as I actually feel like it's going to be a launching pad as opposed to a setback. I even told my skip when I was turning in my tech last day, I was like, all rockets rock back just a little bit right before they take off. So
yeah. But also too, what I went through after the layoff was I went through so much fear. I actually posted about this on LinkedIn just 2 days ago. I had so much fear. I lived alone. I lived in San Francisco. I had a rented apartment. I would wake up in the middle of the night. Oh my God, where am I going to get money from? How am I going to make this work? And so I had a lot of insomnia. I had a lot of fear. And I didn't have a lot of mindset tools back then to really help me manage my brain and decide what to think and process my emotions. And so what got me through the layoff was that best friend of mine who was, constantly reminding me of my network and how good I was. And then when I looked at all the other people around me that were part of my network, they were my reminder. So even though I didn't believe in myself and I think this is really important for all of you listeners, find people in your network or in your family or in your friend group where you can borrow their belief in you if you're having a really hard time with fear. Like I had a really hard time with fear at that point.
I love that so much. I was even going to go back and call out your friend, because it's not just the people you don't know, but the people who are in your circle. And I think sometimes people think about the word networking as, oh, I have to reach out. Like it's kind of like the going and getting a thing, as opposed to sometimes you just have to sit with the people who are in your life. And I love the piece that you said about them reminding you of your worth. Especially, I talk to so many people that have been laid off that it's like their identity is stripped away. I'm not this thing anymore that I was. So I imagine you went through some of that at that time.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I was that type A, high achieving tech girl living in San Francisco. My entire identity was being in tech.
Yeah.
I didn't even have an identity outside of me being this woman in tech in San Francisco. Yeah. And so, it's only now, 20 years later, that I have my identity as this, incredible, smart, kind, beautiful woman, beautiful on the inside. And, I'm in tech as an entrepreneur. So now I have both. But yeah, that, finding people around you to borrow belief if you're having a really hard time is one of the strategies I used to get through that chapter until I could start believing in myself.
Yeah. I love that so much. So, okay, so you're scared, sleepless, and not sure what to do. How did you decide what that next thing was back in, like, what was it, 2001, right, when this happened? So how did you get there to where you are now?
Yeah. Well, this is also a part of borrowing some belief and having a mirror in your life to help you see yourself if it's hard for you to see yourself. I had people in my life that I'd worked with that were like, you are so good in product marketing, Sarah. You're so good in this field. And so, having competence in a field is number one. Be good at what you do. Be good at what you do. Even if you don't believe you're good at what you do, like if people are telling you you're good at what you do, like believe it. And then number two is find people that you can maybe borrow some belief in if you're really struggling right now. And then number three is just think about what's really important to you. Like, what are your values? What do you feel drawn to? What are your values? So for me, I'm from England. My whole family's from England. I moved here as a teenager. I know I don't have an accent anymore, but I wanted the flexibility to be able to go to Europe and see my dad and see my mom and be with my family. And also too, I fell in love at a really young age with cars. I wanted to be able to go race cars with my dad. And, that was just really important to me to have QT with my dad, and my dad lived there and he could come visit me, but it was more fun to go see everybody there. And so I just started thinking about what kind of life I wanted next. And here I am many years later, it's wild that I was kind of wise back then because I worked 8 days a week in tech. Mm-hmm. But that vision I had, that desire I had, pulled me in that direction and made me think about, there's so many people laid off. Mm-hmm. I'm really good at what I do. I have a network, mm-hmm. and I want this kind of balance in my life. Why don't I start becoming a fractional product marketer? Mm-hmm. So I became a fractional product marketer in 2001. And someone in my network hired me within the first month of me getting laid off. I mean, it was literally a gift from God. I mean, it was divine. It was incredible. And I hustled, you guys. I hustled. I cranked. I ground. I over-delivered. I still lived in a lot of fear. Yeah. It took a while for me to get through that fear and really start me seeing myself for how really skilled I was.
Yeah.
But that was the first step.
That's so relatable right now, especially as I'm trying a new thing, right, and not jumping right back into what I was doing. And there's that I was talking to somebody in my network. Here's the people coming along beside you, right? I'm not used to thinking I could be paid doing anything else. So, and they were the ones who are like, you have been investing in this for years now. People don't have that knowledge. And sometimes I see people discount their strengths because it comes easy to them.
Yeah.
And like, so we don't think of our superpowers as superpowers because we'll be like, oh, well, it's just doing this thing. Well, it's easy. But to somebody else, they have no idea how to start doing that thing. And they admire you for what you're bringing to the table. What they struggle with is your strong point. So I love that you tapped into your strengths and what set you apart, and you've made that part of your story.
Yeah. And even though I didn't see my strengths at that time, right? Like I just borrowed some belief. I was like, okay, I trust these people. They don't need to blow smoke. And until I could kind of see that in myself. But here's what I want all of our listeners to really feel into right now is every single one of you has unique gifts and a unique way of looking at things that no one else has. And the world needs your views. Companies need your point of views. There's nobody on the planet who has my story of getting laid off. Nobody. And now works with the C-suite and tech companies and helps drive executive engagement, corporate strategies, and is an executive coach, and whose life fell apart in 2019. Nobody has your story.
Right.
Nobody has your way of thinking and being. And that's what I wish for each and every one of us to always remember, that the world needs our point of view. The world needs our expertise because no one else exists like the way
we must have read the same book, like, because I tell people if they're struggling, I don't even know what to post on LinkedIn. I was like, start with your story, start with an introduction, because you have value to add in this world. And people, especially in a virtual world, sometimes it might be harder to feel connected or like, oh, I just grew up here, I just did that. And I tell people could find how you make coffee fascinating. So go tell people how you make coffee.
Exactly.
But I am curious what, like you were in product marketing here, and then you switched to coaching. What made you decide to make that switch?
Yeah. So I was in product. I did product marketing and then executive customer engagement strategies. And I mean, I haven't actually made a switch. I now do both, Jacqueline.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that part.
Yeah. So I still work with the C-suite and tech companies, and I help drive executive engagement strategies at a company level, like how executives in the C-suite and the entire company engage with the executives in their top account to drive revenue. So I do that. And then, I've been in therapy for decades. I've done a lot of inner work. I'm really into personal development and growing and stretching myself and feeling that discomfort and seeing what's possible and thinking of the unthinkable. And in 2019, my best friend, who actually was my first client when I got laid off, I just realized that. My best friend, my first client in 2001, she and her family, her husband and kids, moved away from San Francisco. I lost my biggest 3-year client. And I felt like my world had fallen apart. I felt like devastated, empty. I didn't have that inner resilience. I felt it was hard to get out of bed. It was hard to sleep. And I was like, wow, I've been in therapy for decades. Like, what's going on here? And to make a long story short, someone introduced me to my coach, and I hired my coach, and I started working with her, Brooke Castillo. And I found the secret to really unlocking like full potential as a human is understanding how to use your brain. That you can rewire your brain, you can change the way you think, you can change your identity because it's a 3-pound organ. And when you rewire your brain, like your reality changes. And I was like, is this a secret to the universe? I've been in therapy, stuck in old feelings, complaining about my parents that's gotten me nowhere. Like, I want to rewire my brain. So I became like this brain nerd in 2020, you guys. Like, I literally was like a brain freak. I wrote my book, Rock Your Brain, Rock Your Life, in 90 days. I started my podcast, Rock Your Brain, Rock Your Life. And I started doubling my revenue every year because I started managing my mind and changing what I believe about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? Here I am in tech, front row of everyone's flirting with burnout. Let me go start coaching some of these. Let me offer myself as a service and coach some of these humans that are flirting with burnout, that are, sitting in the cubicle right next to me.
Yeah.
So that's how I started executive coaching in 2020. Yeah.
I love that. Especially right now in a layoff culture that's happening. So many people are it's like lingering over them all the time. The burnout, there's so much misconception. Like, if I work harder, then I won't be laid off because I'll be too valuable to the company. And then we're seeing that's not true at all. So we have people who are running from monsters, which also impacts the brain, as you well know, I'm sure, and all the chemicals that are constantly being secreted in that. And yet they're not making plans all the time on how to either get away from that burnout, or what do you do? Because having a plan, if you are laid off, is so comforting. Actually, when it happened to me, I was like, oh, well, I'm going to try this thing. So I love that you mentioned burnout. I guess, how do you reach someone who's in that state of burnout and kind of help them see that, wait, there's a better way? Like, if they're stuck here, how do you get them to?
I mean, so I was, I pretty much built my company on burnout until 2019, when I think every big personal crash we go through is just another way. It's another time for us to like waken up and be like, oh, okay, well, that operating model hasn't quite worked. I mean, I've slayed the world of work, but I'm like, empty on the inside. And so, really how you heal burnout is you come back to this place of breaking up with the model we have, especially in tech, of I got to grind, I got to hustle. These are badges of honor. I sent emails at 2 a.m. I have a client who, like, her first call with me was like, oh yeah, I was up at 2 a.m. like sending calls. I'm like, she works at McKinsey. I'm like, what are you talking about? Right. So it's deciding to like no longer be a part of that culture. That is a way of being that is actually a lie. And healing burnout is about no longer chasing perfection, hustle, grind. Trust me, I over deliver. I'm super successful, but I come from a place of belief in myself. Mm-hmm. So burnout is taking action because you don't feel like you're enough. You don't believe in yourself, and you're just going to take action and hope that the next big deliverable that you slay, you're finally going to feel like you're enough. Mm-hmm. I want you all to think about this. Think about when you hit send on that big deliverable, right? You're like, oh my God, I just did it. But then what feeling comes up? Oh, I got to go slay the next thing. I got to go slay the next thing. That's burnout. That's not coming from a place of like, I'm really competent in what I do. I've just delivered an amazing piece of work. I'm not getting a big high off of it because I'm grounded in my competent leadership. And I don't have to prove to all the email recipients that I'm a badass, because I know I'm really good at what I do.
Yeah.
I'm like the best.
I love that. It's like shifting from a fear mindset into like, it's like slaying fear in a lot of ways. So on that, there are so many people, and I talk to them all the time, of I'm just kind of afraid to do this next thing. So, there's like little incremental things that you can do to start conquering that mindset. What would be your idea of what somebody that first step someone can do to just change the course of where they're going, be it burnout or I have this dream in my mind. Sounds like we're both visionaries. So we always have, sometimes I say my creativity is a curse because I have so many ideas all the time. But, it's like if you have that person, what do you tell them to do to change the status quo?
The first thing I have them do, because there's a lot of fear why we don't take the first step, the fear of failure, the fear of being judged. The list of fears is long, which keeps us from the first step, right? What's going to happen if I do that? Oh, or is my partner going to, have some disdain for me? Like there's some fear going on. So first thing I'm going to advise you to do is go grab a piece of paper and a pen. I'm a big pen and paper person. I want you to write down all of the times that it felt a little difficult for you to take that first step. Maybe it was that first step to get ready for that job interview.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That was my FaceTime.
Okay. I thought that was me. I was like, this is the fun of life, right? We said that we would learn things.
Exactly. We're making this really real. So write down and find the evidence for all of the first steps that you took where you noticed some fear, but you did it anyway, right? The first time you posted on LinkedIn, the first time you ever prepared for an interview, the first time you ever told someone that you're a romantic partner, that you love them, right? All those first, and you'll have a huge list. And then what you're doing is you're teaching your brain that sure, you feel a little afraid, but look at what happened after I took that first step. Oh, I fell in love with that person and we got married. Oh, I started building a following on LinkedIn and being known as, the network goddess, right? So just like, that's just step one. Just do that exercise. Super easy. It'll make you start feeling a lot more comfortable and at ease about taking the first step around whatever that dream is.
I love it.
I'm going to give you something else too.
Yes, please do.
I want you to think about yourself, your future self in 30 days or your future self in 24 hours. Let's do 24 hours. Let's make it really simple and small. Your future self 24 hours from now. What is that part of you, that version of you, advising you to do right now? So do exercise 1 and then talk to your future self 24 hours from now. What are they advising you to do? It's probably to take that step. Like it's gonna be okay. And then think about yourself 30 days from now. What is yourself 30 days from now advising you to do? Do you still want to be in that same stuck place 30 days from now? Or do you want to have shifted and have honored your dreams and have managed your mind and told this gorgeous brain that, by the way, has 60,000 thoughts that go through it every day and 90% of them are negative, listen, we're going to be okay.
Yeah. I have learned through my own therapy and brain study journeys. I feel like sometimes we're the same person in our journeys. We share so much, but it's like our brains are trying to keep us alive all the time. So of course it's going to be just like danger, 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 danger. And even more so if you've been through some sort of trauma or anything like that, it's just going to amplify it. And it sounds like, we manufacture what ifs and we always go to the negative what if, right? What if I fall? What if I do this? What if people don't like my post? What if they do?
Yeah.
What if it turns out, what if it's the thing that changes your life? What if you get in better shape? What if there's the opposite what if that people don't always tap into.
Yeah. I always love asking myself this question, Jacqueline, like when I write down a thought that's, oh my God, I'm afraid to take that first step. I'm afraid to take that first, write that first post on LinkedIn. Like, I'm afraid they're all going to hate it. I mean, is it true that they're all going to hate it? Like, can we all agree that that's true? Like, no, like that's just a thought that's keeping us blocked. So maybe they're all going to love it. Maybe it's going to help 5 people. Great. Or 1 person. Great.
Yeah. We have one comment here from Karina. She's like, think about what if it will be great, which is exactly what you just said. What if it'll be great? What if it's wonderful?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It always helps me. This might help all of you too. My mission is to help one person every day. One. Just one.
Yep.
That's it.
I love that. It reminds me of that starfish story where it's like a kid's throwing starfish in the sea and there's tons of them, and somebody says, you're never going to get them all. And he's like, well, I helped that one. And sometimes the best you can do is that
story. There we go.
Yeah. I don't know where I heard that, but it stuck with me a lot. So, yeah, we talked about that first next step that somebody can take, and that was an amazing exercise. Are there any massive lessons that you're like, I hate to use if I could do it all over again, because it's easy to shame ourselves and we don't want to get into that cycle, but is there maybe a pitfall that you could just, especially if it's doing brain work or things that are really difficult, is there any maybe a warning thing of just be careful of this at all?
Yeah, I have no regrets, okay. But I have like tears in my eyes as I think about this. If I could do one thing differently, it would honestly to be able to understand how my mindset is completely correlated to my reality.
Yes.
My mindset is completely correlated to how much money I have, my health, my love life. I had no idea that my mindset drives everything. I didn't. I had no idea. And I would have enjoyed myself more between 2001 and 2019 when the proverbial, crap hit the fan. Me. I'd understood to stop listening to my mind. And it's fear. It lives in fear and worst case scenarios. And to start asking myself, is this thought absolutely true? Yeah. What's the cost of believing this thought? Why am I committed to believing this thought? To really get curious, come with a level of curiosity around what's going on in my mind with my thoughts that are creating a reality I may not like. And then because then you've got more space to feel more conviction and curiosity and just more passion in your life and in your business. Yeah.
I love the idea of just being curious about yourself, right? Just why did that emotion come up? Why did I have that thought? Who said that? That's probably maybe, or it was their own insecurity speaking, as opposed to anything wrong with you. I've stopped saying a lot of that in my life, but we are getting really close to time here. So I would love for people to know where to find you and what do you offer? I know you have your book. Yeah. And we could start there, I guess, but take it away. How do people connect with you further if they're open to
Well, first of all, thank you so much for being with us for the last 30 minutes. I'm so grateful to each and every one of you. And you can find me on LinkedIn at Sarah L. Moody. You can find me on my podcast, Rock Your Brain, Rock Your Life. I come out with new episodes every week. So if you're into wanting to know how to master your mindset and be a really powerful leader and just create a delicious life for yourself, definitely give me a listen. You can find my book on Amazon, Rock Your Brain, Rock Your Life. My website, sarahmoody.com. Please reach out. Let me know if you have any questions, how I can be of service to you. And, just if I can leave you with one thing, it's if you're feeling fear, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling overwhelmed, all of these feelings are completely natural and normal. And the more you can understand how to manage your mind and manage your thoughts and think differently permanently in your mind, the more those feelings are just going to have more kind of not a hold on you, and you're just going to be able to ride them a little bit easier.
Yeah, I love that. And I did put those links in the event description for people to find your book and your podcast. But I just thank you so much for being here. I love this conversation. I love that we use networking to find each other, like in those fun stories where you know somebody who knows somebody, and now we're having the conversation here. And thank you for anyone who's tuned in or will watch this later. Look, we made it. Inaugural inaugural broadcast. And look, I was afraid to do it the very first time I hit live. And you know what? Now it feels a lot less scary because I did the one thing.
Yes, you took one little step.
One little step. So yes, thank you for being the one who took the first step with me. I'm so I remember you in a very special place forever for it.
Thank you for inviting me to your incredible show. It's an honor to be here. And thank you to all of our incredible listeners now and in the future. And have a gorgeous rest of your day.
Yes, you too. All right.
Thanks. Okay.